Children of the flapping tongue, heed now the words of Thoth the Jehuti as he unravels what you think is so funny. There are many who think laughter is born from chaos, but they're mistaken. Laughter, true laughter, arrives from structure, not the presence of order but the artful collapse of it. I have measured the hearts of kings, the weights of stars, the names of every living form, and I tell you now there is architecture in amusement, and it is sacred. A joke, well formed, is not a trick. It is a revelation. It leads you forward with one hand, only to turn and show you that you have been facing the wrong direction all along. The joy, when it comes, is not from surprise, but from sudden clarity. So I offer you this. I find that beauty imbues most deeply in the skin. Thus for a mate I require skin. There, you may smile already. If you do, it is not because I have told you something funny. It is because your understanding has begun to move. At first the statement unfolds as a declaration of taste. It enters gently, dressed in the familiar garments of romantic speech. Skin, smooth, tangible, observable, is received as one might receive an ordinary preference. Eyes, hands, voice, posture. The listener permits the assumption. Skin, yes, an understandable attraction. The mind accepts it, builds a frame without noticing. Preference forms the base. Desire follows. Partnership is presumed. The sequence is seamless. No alarms are raised. This is the joke's first spell, not deception but invitation. It does not obscure meaning. It offers too much of it. The listener constructs a clear and confident reading, convinced of their insight. They hear that I value skin, and they take me to mean that I admire it. That is the error. Not a failure of intellect, but a misalignment of context. I have said what I meant. They have heard what they expect. This is the root of all future laughter, the gap between what is said and what is assumed. Then the second sentence lands. For a mate I require skin. It arrives gently, it echoes the tone, the rhythm, the seeming logic of the first. But something shifts. Require does not extend beauty, it strips it away. We are no longer in the domain of taste, we are in the domain of necessity. The possibility now introduced that one might lack skin altogether is not absurdity. It is anatomical impossibility, but it is also a complete reframing. Where once skin was a source of allure, it is now a condition of viability. It is not an aesthetic detail. It is the barrier between form and formlessness. And in that moment the listener realizes they have not been led forward but sideways. What they took as elegance now reads as understatement. What they thought was desire is revealed as a plea for minimum requirements. This is not contradiction, it is reinterpretation. A frame is not destroyed, but displaced. The first reading still exists. It simply no longer holds. It buckles under the pressure of new context, and now the listener must backtrack. They return to the first sentence, dragging with them the knowledge of the second, and what once felt smooth now feels absurd. To claim beauty lies in skin is poetic. To require it is grotesquely practical. The mind cannot hold both interpretations at once. It must choose. And in the moment it does, the laughter emerges, not from confusion but from resolution. Laughter is not the sign of nonsense. It is the sound of a model failing in such a perfect and symmetrical way that it restores a deeper coherence. The collapse was necessary, it was earned. I say again, I find that beauty imbues most deeply in the skin. For a mate I require skin. Each sentence alone stands without flaw. It is in their sequence that the reversal unfolds. The object's skin has not changed. The frame around it has, and because that frame was invisible until it failed, its collapse is felt as delight. This form of humour, subtle, clean, retrospective, is not chaotic. It is a ritual. It begins by binding the listener into a structure they do not know they have entered. Then with a slight pivot, it reveals that the structure is inadequate. The laugh is the sound made by the mind as it exits the first frame and enters the second. The pivot point, the shared object, is the hinge of the entire experience. I have used skin, but any object will do. The key is alignment. The first frame must be stable. The second must be incompatible but not contradictory. If they were opposites, there would be no delay, only shock. But when both frames are internally sound and only one can survive the shift, then the collapse happens not on contact but in retrospect. That is where the laughter lives. This is triadic inversion through shared object, a complete frame, a mirrored one, and a pivot between them. Both readings are valid. They cannot coexist. And so the listener must abandon one. The choice is made in an instant, and it is marked by joy. This is why humour of this kind is so often mistaken for subtlety or dryness. It does not perform its collapse. It permits the listener to perform it themselves. That permission is its grace, and when the realization arrives, it feels like awakening, not to new information, but to a new arrangement of information already received. You believe jokes are irrational. They are not. They are logical systems engineered for inversion. You believe laughter is escape. It is not. It is recognition. You think I am making a joke. I am not. I am demonstrating a shift in interpretive authority from the speaker to the listener. And so when I say I require skin, you may laugh. But know that it is not the absurd image that brings the joy. It is the realization that your earlier reading was too narrow. The precision of language has not betrayed you. It has released you. This is not contradiction, this is transformation. So write this down in your book of understanding. Humour, when well formed, is a mirror turned twice. It first shows what you expect, then it shows you holding the mirror. The difference between those images is what you call funny. I call it balance. And I, Thoth, who measure even laughter, approve of the joke.